station. Facebook fixed it. Pardon me. I've seen them. Okay. Alright, space. Extras. What extras do we have? Marking blemishes, damage, no. All body. Yeah, that's okay. Right. Options done. Confirm character. Yep. Right. Yeah. Oh, I better go and say hello to
Thanks, cousin. Grognak the Barbarian in the Jungle of the Bat Babies. My favorite. Fun.
Wow, look at you. How'd a girl like me ever get so lucky, huh?
I don't know. Class feels so slow compared to the amount of movement I'm usually used to. Oh. Yeah. Okay.
Good morning. Vault Tech calling.
Good morning.
Isn't it? Just look at that sky out there.
Yeah, I know about
You
you.
know how happy I am.
Then I'm glad you...
Oh, me too. Now, I know you're a busy fellow, so I won't take up much of your time. Time being, I'm here today to tell you.
I wonder if he actually knew there was going to be bombs going off.
Oh, it is. Believe you me. Now, I just need to...
Sure, let's do it.
Splendid. Splendid. Now, let's see.
I always go for high luck. Agility. Yeah, I'll take that. Oh, okay. Shake me handy. Oh. There we go. There we go.
Wonderful. That's everything. Just gonna walk this over to the vault. Congratulations on being prepared for the future.
Thanks again.
Hey, it's peace of mind. That's worth a little paperwork, right?
For you and Sean, no price is too high.
Good answer.
I have my moments.
Creepy as fuck, isn't it?
Much better now, huh? Listen, after breakfast, I was thinking we could head to the park for a bit. Weather should hold up.
Yeah, sounds like fun.
Oh, shit's about to hit the fan. Come on, Nora. Nutty Nora.
Followed by flashes. Sounds explosive. We're trying to get confirmation.
What?
We seem to have lost contact with our filling stations. We do have coming in. That's confirmed reports of nuclear detonations in New York and Pennsylvania. My God.
Oh my god.
We need to get to the vault. Now!
Come on then.
Let's go.
Residents of Second City, evacuate Vault 111 immediately.
Run away! Come on, Nora. Jump! Hey! Go on away, she get in front.
Head to the gate! All participants, check in there!
That's absurd! I am vault tech.
You don't get in.
I'm going in. You can't stop me. Okay. I'm reporting this.
We need to get in. We're on the list. Infant, adult male, adult female. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
You two, follow me. Come on.
What's gonna happen to all those people outside the
We're doing
gate?
everything we can. Now keep moving. Step on the platform in the center. Almost there. We're gonna be okay. I love you. Both of you.
We love you too. Oh my god!
Hold on!
Oh god!
Scary biscuits. Oh, it's shaking like fuck.
Obviously that's no go over here as well, with the kind of things they talk about. And when I say the kind of things they talk about, they're very cute, Russia Today and Press TV, because I would say they're probably two of the most truthful news organisations when broadcasting in this country. And I say that because this form of propaganda that the Russians could put out there is just to show people the truth about our own government. They don't need to lie about it, Charlie. And I think that's why they were such a threat. They pulled their licence and get out of here.
I was on RTE a couple months ago with Sean Stone on his show Watching the Hawks with Tyrell Ventura. And if you pull...
Welcome. Just name dropping there. Son of Oliver Stone,
What now?
No, he's a really good guy, man. There was at one point I was kind of in Skype contact with him, you know, and I don't know why it fell through. You've just, I'm going to write that name down, but anyway, I derailed after your name checking.
Well, I just
one of our
this
most
interview,
advanced facilities.
and now you can find it on YouTube. But when you pull it up on YouTube, underneath it, there'll be a little Wikipedia thing. You say, RT is Russian-owned television. And I'm like, okay, thank you. I didn't ask for that, but it says that.
Going over all my videos, they call it Kremlin KM. We're the fake news, man.
Yeah, it's like they're just like, oh, hey, by the way, before you watch this video, I'm going to give you a little hint. By the way, it's owned by Russia. But thank you. I got it. I'll take care of it from here. It's okay. Wikipedia, it's okay. YouTube, it's fine. I know which videos I want to watch. It's ridiculous. And yeah, RT is like, you know, people don't know it here in the United States, and it's great. You know, I think they changed the name from Russia Today down to RT to kind of make it a little less obvious with the Russian. But like, you know what's great about it? For one, is that there are no commercials, and that kind of helps because when you're watching the nightly news in the United States, every other commercial is for some medicine, some pharmaceutical company that's trying to sell you something. So, you know, when you've got all that advertising dollars rolling in from big pharma to the networks, you wind up with network news coverage of the pharmaceutical industry that's very positive. It's not objective at all because they don't want to blow that up. So, yeah, I like RT. I'll say it. I mean, yes, we know that the Kremlin funds it, but it's way more objective than anything that I've watched in the United States, and their documentaries are fascinating too. So I highly recommend it. You might have to go on the black market to get it now, but it's worth it.
Oh, they're going to start calling you Kremlin Charlie, dude.
I'm sure they are.
On a more serious note, I mean, all of this is for a reason. And when I look at Alex Jones and what's happening there, and it's not just him that's been censored, by the way, folks. You know, he's kind of the biggest name that everyone will recognise, David. You know, the kind of right-wing, Gavin McInnes, people like that, Laura Loomer, a lot of other people as well over here in the UK from time to time that they're censored. And it's all leading towards something, because this whole show, the whole thing that they're playing out in the media for months now, ever since Donald Trump really appeared on InfoWars and went into overdrive. And I think, Charlie, we were kind of discussing this before the show, that the end game here, potentially, you know, is going to be some kind of internet ID. And the reason I say that is because with everything going on,
You murdering bastards.
anonymous posters and stuff like that, all the other stuff that goes on, the internet trolling and celebrities control, you know what it's like on there, sometimes it can be an absolute cesspit. Well, all of that is going to be rolled up into a nice convenient ball to really push forth the end of anonymity on the internet. We're looking at internet ID.
For sure. They even talked about it at Bilderberg in 2016. They talked about the idea of the internet ID card. And if you go back to the Chappelle show back in like the early 2000s,
Oh, I'm looking forward to this.
This bit that he did.
There's people
What if the
turning
internet
out
was
as him.
mall? And so it shows it walking through the mall, and it's all these people standing in front of the stores, like in front of Ford stores, and saying, "Hey, buddy, come over here." So it's really funny. You should go watch that. But I mean, my feeling is that if you think about it like a mall, right now, if you go to the mall, you just walk in, do your stuff, walk through the stores. The stores don't know who you are. They don't need to know who you are. It's none of their business. Now, they would like it. The internet would like it. The people running the show, the people running Bilderberg would like it, that you all have an ID so they could know who you are. They don't like anonymity. It doesn't work for them. It doesn't work for their advertisers. It creates a big problem, a potential problem. So, what they really want to do is get an internet ID. Now, if they told you today you have to have one, there'd be a massive revolt.
I'm just crushing up some leaves here.
Is that something will happen
These leaves.
on the internet, or something will happen in the world in general, that will be blamed back, be pinned on somebody that had an anonymous internet connection that was able to do something horrible. It might be, I don't know, let's say the banking system got shut down, and they would say, well, it was Russian hackers that shut down the banking system, and if we'd had internet ID, then this wouldn't have happened. Your bank accounts would have been safe, and now so then at that point, all the people will start demanding it. They'll be begging for it. Give us this internet ID. We can never have this happen again. Of course, it'll be based on a complete lie. But that's how things get passed, and I don't think it would be any different moving forward. That this internet ID card idea will take hold because something will happen that will make us beg and scream for it.
I absolutely agree with you, Charlie. And, you know, right now, the way things are, I think it's going to be something, if there is going to be an event, the timing of it right now would seem, you know, that we're in a window for it. So I look around at what's going on right now, and of course there's an attempt to demonise Trump, well, there's always an attempt to demonise Trump, but we've seen the tie-in of the Q group, and no bad word, I'm just laying something out here, audience, the tie-in of the Q group to Trump, tying the Q group to various gates that have been on the internet that have been well spoken about, and even Alex Jones has been mentioned in the same breath as Q and everything else, so they're going to wrap all of this up together, and it wouldn't surprise me if something happened. I'm saying something, and then whoever has done it, what will happen in the media and from law enforcement is that they'll demonise a specific group. So there could be somebody who's a paid-up member of InfoWars. It might be somebody who's into QAnon, but they'll use that as a propaganda tool to absolutely come after us. And it's not going to be a one-case deal because, you know, they've known for a while, ever since, you know, the early days on the internet, they could see how it was taking off. They always know what's coming in the future. They can project. They must have predicted things would get like this. And they must have been thinking long term, how do we set this up? How do we do it? How do we get from A to Z and in the end actually have people begging for an ID? And I don't know, there's part of me, Charlie, I'll get your thoughts on this, but I almost feel now, looking back with hindsight, that they baited us into this position, right? Because you look at some of the false flags that have been covered, and I'm not even denying they're false flags, but how obvious were some of the clues that were left for us? You know, these aren't stupid people that we're up against, right? So how come, you know, there was these obvious clues all the time, like, oh, we found the passport, or you've got crisis actors appearing at multiple events in different countries, and it's almost as if they left these kind of clues out there so that we would post all of the various conspiracies on the internet. You know, Sandy Hook, that's one that's really controversial. I go along with the fact it's very questionable what happened there. But all of the clues there, I mean, people walking in and out the buildings, going round and round, kind of obvious, right? Border boys, law and order. Could it be that they were leaving things like that out there knowing that we would run with it and it would all come to this day, and now they'll look back and go, look how dangerous these people are. And to the audience, they're not trying to convince us. They just need to convince everybody else. And they will say, look at this. We're going to hear about people losing money to this, the whole QAnon thing as well as financial things, broad aspects. I think this is it, man. I think this is what they're going to do.
You made a comment a couple of weeks ago that I thought was great. You said, people say, when you start taking flack, you're right over the target, but you can also be walking through the ambush. And I think there's a little bit of that goes on. I think that in some cases they set up some really obvious, I mean, there's some nonsense going on with these drills and false flags that are it's so preposterous that you have to call it out. But at the same time, they're also probing to see exactly how dumbed down the public is. Like, it's at some point people have to sort of stand up and say, this is ridiculous. Like, nobody will believe the nonsense, you know, like I always bring back the San Bernardino shooting. It is like every single protocol for an investigation was broken on that, and the media did nothing. They didn't even notice it. For instance, like when they were allowed to contaminate the crime scene by showing up in the people's the alleged shooter's apartment. And there's
the thing I'm talking about. That's ridiculous when you think about it, right?
Oh, it's ridiculous. And then as an observer, I'm watching this going, okay, this is clearly, there's something not right with this. But then what I want to see is I want to see someone that's a media member that's walking through that house stop themselves.
How many times has it been ransacked?
How are we even allowed in here? This is a problem. I feel like we're all being set up. They don't ever have that thought. So I'm watching them, and I'm sort of rolling my eyes like, they don't even get it themselves. Like, they don't see that they're a participant in this madness. They are, you know, as the
he knows.
Oh, Anderson Cooper, you know.
He knows.
The no-nose knows, yes.
We're laughing because he's literally, you know, the epitome of the mockingbird media. He is CIA all the way. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but and we'll be getting into your book after the break, obviously, The Octopus of Global Control, but I'll just kind of hang in with you, picking your mind, because we're usually on the same page. But didn't the American government, like recently in the past few years, legalize the use of propaganda?
They most certainly did. They passed it. It's called the Smith Modernization Act of 2012. They crammed it in that pile of garbage they called the NDAA and passed that through. And what it does is it repealed the Smith-Mundt Act, which prohibited propaganda from being used on the American people through television, radio, newspapers, magazines, all that stuff. So what they said is that prohibition about propaganda, we need to get rid of that because we need to lie to the people. We want to lie to the people legally. I mean, we've been lying to them for years illegally, but it'd be nice if we had ourselves covered. So they changed it. So there's an allowance for the number. I think it's like 1,000 hours a month or 1,000 hours a week or something of propaganda that they're allowed to. I mean, it's just preposterous. The whole thing is crazy.
Think about it, Charlie. Right? We're the first type of people that say, the media, mainstream media, fake news, they lie to us all the time. Yet then we drop that standard off at the door the minute a big event happens, and we analyse footage from the people that we know are known liars, or clues that we then think are genuine clues, but they're coming from known liars.
But we're crazy for bringing this up.
You know, it's a strange old world. It really, really is, man. But something else that's been happening over in your neck of the woods is these fires now. Not even to get into the source of them or anything like that, but it ties in with a bit in your book as well, Charlie, which is about Agenda 2030, because that's something I've been hearing about recently as well. And, you know, even what we're talking about here, the whole censorship, clamping down on the internet, I mean, this is another kind of aspect, another facet of the new world order that we're moving towards, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a real thing, too. I know that some people will sort of roll their eyes and go, Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, that's nonsense. It's really not. You know, the Club of Rome was an organization that was put together by Rockefeller and Alexander King. He was a guy that had a big role in Tavistock. And they're very forthright in their books about what the plan is. And the plan is about creating the concept of global warming to be used as basically the carrot that puts humanity into demanding for a carbon tax. And part of this was, you know, they're going to say that they're going to use the threat of global warming, whether it's actual or not, to force people to change their habits. And you know, and you read the whole thing and you go, this is a carbon tax. And then you look at something that's happened like maybe 15 years ago in the United States. You have what's called cap and trade and the Enron scandal. Those were carbon tax trading scams as well. It's sort of falling into that. And Agenda 21 is Agenda 2030 now is the new sort of version of it. It's very much part of their plans, and it has them envisioning us into, you know, being sort of forced into larger cities where we can be more easily controlled. And I know a lot of people kind of hear that and they go, that sounds preposterous. That would never happen. What's happening in China? They've been doing that for the last 30 years. They've been moving people from the country into the large cities, and they're doing it for a reason, so they can have authoritarian type control over that. So you look at China, and if you still think that it can't happen here, it can. They're just a generation or so ahead of us in terms of their Orwellian social media systems and their desire to lock everybody down inside the city. I mean, look at China, that's where we're going.
And you see Google, they're moving over there, all the big tech companies, and I honestly do look at China as being at the very central kind of hub of the whole infrastructure when all is said and done. And that's not to be defeatist, folks, but we can see things moving there already, and it doesn't need to be doom and gloom, but that's the way things are going, it truly is. And you've got that creepy Astana, just not too far from China.
Yeah.
go and
it's
get
not
a
that we
few
find
things
things
before
funny.
we...
It's just that we like to put them in a funnier kind of frame to take the edge off things. And
if I took this stuff seriously, I'd be throwing myself off a bridge like I was a...
Lovely. Well said, my friend. We'll be back on the other side. We'll be learning more about this great book and any conspiracy theorists as much as I hate that term. This is something you really need. It's like full metal jackets of truth that you can fire over the dinner table.
This is the Jack Racer Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you all back, and if you're just tuning into the show, we're joined by Charlie Robinson, the author of The Octopus of Global Control, which contains quotes from over 500 people in there. And I tell you, this is blatantly damning them and catching them out in their own words. And the way he's put it together, there's humour in there as well. He's a big kind of fan of Bill Hicks and George Carlin, two people who really were, somehow describing the times that we live in today, way ahead of the time. And if you haven't checked out Charlie's work before, I urge you, head on over to the Facebook page. And Charlie, where is it they can actually get the book? Don't tell me it's over on Bozo's page. Is it an Amazon one?
Yes, but I will say this. I made it available. It's now available on BarnesandNoble.com as a ebook and as a paperback now. So if you don't like what's his name over at that big online store, you can go to the other place.
I know a lot of people don't like him.
I can understand.
Yeah, I can see a good side to him. Probably when he's getting into the space stuff, but all of his other things, I mean, look what he's done to the kind of smaller stores and things. It's totally changed the whole kind of consumer market, hasn't it? It just totally changed that environment. We've seen a lot of businesses falling by the wayside, and I suppose people say it's more convenient now, stuff like that, but just look at the high streets. I don't know what it's like over there. The high streets over here, used to have little stores, still quite successful, chains throughout the UK, and it's gone. Absolutely gone. And, Amazon started off just selling books and things, and, here they are now doing DNA research, delivering things by drone. Who honestly knows what they're getting into?
Yeah. But what's the irony, though, is that they're actually starting to put out physical bookstores. Amazon bookstores now, which I find really kind of ironic, and hopefully some kid is just about to graduate from high school right now who's going to go on to develop a new marketplace that will put the new Amazon physical bookstores out of business in some sort of poetic justice.
And I think it's in Seattle. I may be wrong, but I think they've got a store up there, right? Absolutely no human works in it. And you get this, man. I think it's like one of these, like you have to have the app on your phone, or you scan your card on the way in, and because you're lifting items up, all tracked by RFID, it's all tallied up for you. You get to the door, and you just walk out, dude. It's already come off your account.
They could hire Mitt Romney and Hillary Clinton, since they're not human either.
No, Hillary Clinton, she's already got a gig. I see they've kind of done her up looking like a statue in Arkansas.
Oh, yes. Nothing to see here, people. Move along. Nothing to see here.
Will be the next man after Alex Jones to be kicked off the internet. But no, before we get sidetracked, let me get you to briefly describe this book of yours, right? Because I like PDF form. I can kind of search for names, all the characters and the cabal, past and present. And it takes you to these absolute dynamite quotes. It's their words, folks. And that's what's so good about it. And like Anthony Patch, he taught me when we're looking at the science, if we can get it from right back at the white paper stage, when the kind of stuff that nobody looks at, this is where they were putting it together. And I think it's brilliant how you've done this book. It's almost along the same lines, and I think that's why I personally resonate with it. That, and you've got a really genius style of writing, man. I was trying to tell you that before we started the show, because there's one part of the book called Censored, Surveilled, Watchlisted, and Jailed. And that's pretty clever. And I was saying to you, you need to get that in a t-shirt, but no, it's just a compliment to your writing, dude.
Well, thank you. Yeah, in the first quote I put in there. So what I did was I tried to have the voices of all of these people that were instrumental in some of the most important aspects of our history. Some of them being, George Bush and Hillary Clinton and you know, the Rockefellers and Rothschilds and people like that, but also George Carlin and Bill Hicks, because, you know, they have a different way of looking at things that brings in a sort of a sense of humor, sort of exposes the, you know, the insanity of this all. But so you take the first quote that I used in that chapter is from Zbigniew Brzezinski, and this is from his book called Between Two Ages, America's Role in the Technocratic Era. He says this: the Technocratic era involves the gradual appearance of a more controlled society. Such a society would be dominated by an elite, unrestrained by traditional values. Soon, it will be possible to assert almost continuous surveillance over every citizen and maintain up-to-date, complete files containing even the most personal information about the citizen. These files will be subject to instantaneous retrieval by the authorities. Sound like anything we've been experiencing lately?
Just a little bit.
And that's from the 70s. Okay, so this is the, you know, for people that sort of think that the way the world develops is haphazard and sort of random and by chance, I would say that there is a component of that. But there are a lot of people in high positions of power that maybe you don't recognize their names, but they have been at work controlling this and sculpting the future to be the way they want it to be. So when you read Zbigniew Brzezinski's book from 40 years ago, and it talks about the Technotronic era will be like this, and now we're living it, it's probably important to pay attention to this guy, because he knows what the plan is, or at the very least he's involved in some aspect of the plan. And, you know, so we're living this. We're living his dream. You know, I think Philip K. Dick, as a sort of science fiction writer, was more along the lines of kind of coming up with these things as well, but slapping science fiction on it. And Zbigniew Brzezinski's probably grabbing his book going, oh, no, we can do that for real. Like, that's a great idea. Let's do that. And I'm sure Philip K. Dick would be horrified if he saw sort of the mess we're in now, but I don't think he'd be surprised either.
Do you think Philip K. Dick and George Orwell, I mean, do you think they were maybe fed some of their ideas? Or do you think they were almost tapping into, I mean, I'm with you on the first one, or maybe they were tapping in just to what was to come?
I think Orwell definitely was involved in it. I think that he was maybe even a part of it. I know he George Orwell was his pen name, but Philip K. Dick,
love his stuff, man.
Love his stuff too. I think he might have been, you know, listen, there's something to be said for psychedelics. I mean, there is another world out there that we cannot see on a day-to-day basis, but it is as real as anything we're living in right now. And I think people discredit it and dismiss it as being sort of like, oh, hey, you're just twirling in circles in the parking lot of a Grateful Dead concert. But there's more to it than that, and there are a lot of really important aspects of it that play into our current society. So I think maybe Philip K. Dick had less of, I mean, I don't think he was going to the Bilderberg meetings or anything like that, but I might be wrong.
No, I'm with you. Orwell, definitely in the know. Philip K. Dick, I think, just kind of almost genius level with his ideas, and I wouldn't call it like prophetic, but he was able to look at the curve we were on. And I suppose, you know, with hindsight, it's easy looking back that we were headed here, but, you know, maybe even in the writings of their time, they were giving it away. You've got all these quotes. Maybe he was just kind of going to the libraries, digging up the documents, and like you say, it's all been laid out for us, man.
He had a twin sister that died either at birth or very close to her birth, and he lived his life with feeling very kind of on the edge, almost as if he was half complete and possibly tapping into his sister. I don't know that for a fact, but that's what's speculated, and that would certainly be an interesting component of how he might be able to see the future, is if he had some sort of one foot in, 1 foot out of this other world. And so I think that was something that I in one of the documentaries I saw about him that I found to be rather interesting. But yeah, for him to be able to, for people that aren't familiar, his books, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, was turned into Blade Runner, The Minority Report is a book he wrote that was turned into Minority Report, and he was also involved in a book that was turned into Total Recall. And so, you start to, when we watch those movies in the theater, they were science fiction. As we get older and older, and we watch these movies on DVD, again, it's less science fiction and more, it's kind of more creeping into the day-to-day news that we're hearing about things like implanted memories and pre-crime and all this madness we're seeing in the news lately about pre-crime. It's crazy.
It's like a documentary with a storyline woven in about it, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And then you realize it's coming from Hollywood, and then you apply the fact that Hollywood is totally involved in the programming in the movies.
It's quite interesting you bring that tie up there, because that's something that you don't really hear emphasised enough. We were having a laugh about, synthetic boy Anderson Cooper earlier on with synthetic-looking style skin that he's got. And we all talk about the connections between, like, the alphabet agencies and the media. But Hollywood is no different. And, they've got total their tentacles, as apt for the show tonight, all over Hollywood, all of the programming that comes from there as well. And absolutely, but we just don't hear enough about, we hear about all the shadier things going on in Hollywood. So that whole aspect of what the they have kind of an input on military scripts, stuff like this, that's really important as well to point out.
Oh, they have a huge, the Department of Defense is involved with a lot of the movies that you've seen. There was a list that came out recently. I mean, it's obvious for things like Air Force One, American Sniper, Black Hawk Down, Battleship, all these things. They go through the DoD. But when you find out that, like, Ernest Saves Christmas also had Department of Defense involved, you're kind of rolling your eyes like, all right, why does the Department of Defense have to get involved in Godzilla and Goldfinger and
people laugh at you for talking about the Sasquatch? Can you believe it?
Well, the Department of Defense had to sign off on the Transformer movie. So, what are they? They've got Godzilla, they've got Jurassic Park, King Kong, and all the Transformer movies. Do they know something about really, really large animals destroying cities that we should be informed about or not?
And you think about it, we talk about CRISPR-Cas9, the gene editing technology on here, talk with Anthony Patch about the fact that they can use particle accelerators and now the quantum computers to really map things right down to the way the proteins are all folded in our DNA, Charlie. Point being, we see dinosaur bones being recovered here, there, and everywhere over time. I mean, literally talking about somewhere that could be out there, like a Jurassic Park, because they've got the technology for it, man. And I'm not seriously saying if they got one, but theoretically they could.
Yeah, of course, it's crazy. The CRISPR thing has me really concerned because that has almost unlimited bad ideas attached to it, and there is no end to the sort of things that could happen. And of course, if you and I were playing around with CRISPR, we would be careful because we would say the last thing we want to do is create some hybrid that's out there.
Fire brainstorm behind.
Right. But when the military-industrial complex gets a hold of it, I mean, they have nothing but bad intentions for that sort of technology. So I am fearful of what the future is going to look like. But maybe it's good. Maybe it's good that people are waking up to the fact that these sort of things exist, and that people in positions of power have access to them and control of them, and maybe they will, when it is posed to us in the future as a good thing, hey, we've got this gene editing software, you guys should embrace that. Maybe they'll say, you know what, that seems like a bad idea. I don't think I'm going to do it. Although, we currently have the 23andMe and all of those sort of genealogy sites that want you to spit in a tube and send it back to them. And I don't know, maybe I'm paranoid, but that just sounds like a really bad idea to me.
Well, we've seen one of the pharmaceutical companies actually get in bed, literally, with one of, I think it was 23andMe, just over the past couple of weeks, and it kind of escapes me which one it was, but you can Google it, folks. I think it was a $20 million, $30 million tie-up. And that's so that they can get access to the DNA that you send them. They only do like a snapshot of the full genome, just so they can tell you like where you're from all the interesting kind of stuff. But your full genome, they keep that. It's more expensive to test the full one, but not when you're getting a $30 million kind of dollar tie-up, or it might even be $30 billion
Well,
for the company.
Well, the founder of 23andMe is the Wojciechowski. It's one of the Wojciechowski, is that it? I think it's the sister of the Google sister-in-law, the one that was married to Sergey Brin. So there's connections between Google and 23andMe. Of course, they have seed funding from them as well, so, which should come as a surprise to nobody.
And of course they've got a D-Wave computer, which can look at our DNA right down to that protein level, just saying.
Yep. Sleep tight, everybody.
Told you it was going to be a fun show tonight, man. But no, because, you know, we're looking at the kind of future with somebody called John Holdren. Now, he's got some pretty creepy science ahead, and he's got some pretty wild ideas about how to herd, and I use that term knowingly, herd the human population.
I classified him the most interesting man in the world as a play on the beer commercial. But
you're not impressed though. I kind of went for that off the top of my head. I'm just trying to work for me out the wrong, but you know.
This guy is out of his mind. He wrote a book in 1977 called Ecoscience, and he says in this book, the development of a long-term sterilization capsule that could be implanted under the skin and removed when pregnancy is desired opens additional possibilities for coercive fertility control. The capsule could be implanted at puberty and might be removable with official permission for a limited number of births. Now, this guy, I jokingly say that Joseph Mengele gave the book 5 stars, but this guy is not just some lunatic who's living out in the woods. No, this was Obama's science czar. This was the guy that Obama said, you know, what we need for science is we need to bring in the guy who wrote the book that said women should be forced to abort pregnancies whether or not they want to. The population at large could be sterilized by infertility drugs intentionally put into the nation's drinking water or in food. Single mothers and teen mothers should have their babies seized from them against their will and given away to other couples to raise. And people who, quote, contribute to social deterioration, as he called undesirables, can be required by law to exercise reproductive responsibility. In other words, can be compelled to have abortions or be sterilized. So he wrote this in his book in 77. Totally stands behind it to this day.
Hey.
And Obama said that's the guy that we need in charge of the science for the United States. So, I mean, this is an example of how the media doesn't really focus on that because, you know, that guy's a maniac. And it would be really bad for Obama if the world knew that the guy they put in charge of science wants women to have forced abortions. Or, you know, or have your...
Let's speculate for a minute, right? Let's speculate. Let's say somehow the most wicked witch from the West, Hillary Clinton, and I understand she's got a new job and that, like I was saying earlier on, but imagine she had won the election, folks. We would have, quite logically, we could expect them to carry on the same kind of stuff that Charlie laid out there. And let's speculate then that amidst everything going on right now, like we were talking about earlier, this push to come after the internet, to demonise all of us for daring to have open minds and think for ourselves, and then even more brave of us to be out there talking about it, and all of you as well, sharing stories. You know, do you think, and we're speculating, Charlie, I'll give you that kind of creative freedom, do you think we would have seen conspiracy theorists labelled as mentally ill?
Yeah. And you would have to go to your doctor and see what sort of prescription they have to combat your conspiracy theory-itis that you've contracted from listening to Alex Jones. You would, definitely there would be some sort of prescription.
I think we need to emphasise that we're not saying that, and in case people try and twist this, that this isn't what we're saying. We're not saying it's a form of mental illness, but we're saying that they may have classified it. You know, they may still, for all we know, we hear about the deep state and the swamp and whatever other names that We're just kind of speculating what they might try and do, and that's really scary, man.
I mean, we're kind of joking about it, but it's a possibility at some point where they will just, classify. It doesn't take much for the FDA to classify, or the CDC and the FDA. They work hand in hand, so they could concoct a new disease. They do it all the time, and then this new psychotic illness that you have, they could say, you're a conspiracy theorist is the term they gave for it. It's somebody that is delusional and believes in fake news and thinks that the government's out to get them and all these things that of course are happening. and they would say, if you believe that.
Just to add to that though, Charlie, I mean, Miss Robbie, like I was telling you in the chat room during the break, I think this is the perfect time to kind of bring that up, because she was mentioning how, conspiracy theorists, it's not a delusional thing, and we know that, but when the mainstream media use it, I mean, they're not trying to convince us, and they have convinced and programmed people into thinking that that is exactly what these people believe, and people like us I'm talking about.
Yeah, they bend the truth and they paint people. I mean, listen, there are crazy people out there. There's no doubt about that. We understand that. But to think that Hillary Clinton was involved in, some nefarious things, that doesn't make you a conspiracy theorist. That just makes you somebody that's objective. I mean, the information for that is everywhere. And same with Donald Trump. There's problems with him as well. But to point these things out, I mean, the definition of conspiracy is two or more people working in secret to commit a crime. I mean, that happens all over the place every single day, right before our eyes. So conspiracies happen. Theories on it is, hey, I think that maybe these people are conspiring to work against my best interest. Of course, that's an obvious thing. There's nothing inherently negative about that term at all. Of course, the media make it negative, and they've done that, and they've done a pretty good job, and that comes from the CIA in the 60s deciding that they were going to take that term conspiracy theorists and they were going to use it to marginalize anyone that had issues with the Kennedy assassination and things like the moon landing and all this stuff. And it's very effective because they use the media, which they control, to hammer down on that. So whenever you hear conspiracy theory, it's reflexive. You just automatically think that person's crazy. Well, because that's what the media is doing now.
Bang on, man. Bang on. And another one I'm worried about, Charlie, and I'll get your take on this. I've not asked you this one, but there's another thing floating about out there called false memory syndrome. Now, you hear it being attached to Mandela effect by psychologists and things like that, and that's fine. They can call it that if they want, and in all honesty, that's quite harmless. But it becomes dangerous if this is a weapon that they're going to use against people making claims about bad things that may have happened to them in their childhood and in their past. Because if they start classifying that sort of thing as a false memory syndrome, these evil people at the top who are into this sick stuff, they're going to be rubbing their hands together. And bear in mind, they're the same people that control the courts and the government still make the rules.
That is a slippery slope and a really dark future if that is to happen. Because like you said, if they control the rules, they control the classification of something like that. They can just, make it look as if whatever horrible thing happened to you, like you said, in your childhood as an example, and I think I know where you're going with that, they can just slap that label and say that you've got a false memory about it, and therefore it's not real, and therefore you are not real, and your claim is not real, and how dare you waste the time of the court by bringing this to, against, case dismissed. And you want to talk about feeling helpless in a situation like that. These people that have been victims of some of these horrible abuses already feel practically helpless. They're finally starting to get some sort of light at the end of the tunnel with what's been going on in the topic that I will not name, but you can initial. You're starting to feel like maybe there's, we're turning a corner on this, and that some people are waking up, not just Americans, but worldwide, are waking up to the reality that some people in high places have some pretty horrible habits, things that they're into, and that they have been controlling and harming people for a long time. Now, if you take that false memory syndrome and put that in place, I mean, that's exactly what you would come up with if you were one of these people in power. You'd say, well, we need to come up with something to discredit these people, and how could we do it? That would be a great way to do it, to discredit them. So I'm fearful of that.
And then they go to their controlled media, they make a couple of high-profile cases, and before you know it, nobody will even go to make the claims anymore. Because
nobody wants to be marginalized and ridiculed.
No. And this has happened in the UK. You know, I don't know if the claims were false or not, but the high-profile kind of coverage it was given in the media at a time when people were coming forward, when it was almost looking like we were going to get some kind of justice. Well, you can imagine what all of that coverage for the poor lady involved actually resulted in. Not many people came forward. What a way to kill a story, eh? We'll be back on the other side, Mr. Charlie Robinson with us here, and I'm sorry to cut you off, man, but I would rather cut you off than our music, so I want to tell the listeners 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. Possibility, we might even be having Jimmy Jeans join us, because he's like Charlie's #1 fan. We'll see, we'll be back after the break anyway, and then coming up right after tonight's show, big shout out to Lucky and Dr. Brooks Agnew for your pleasure bringing the information right after KBS on TFRlive.com. Live from Glasgow, Body, Scotland. I'm Kev Baker. This is the Kev Baker Show. I have got the author of The Octopus of Global Control. You can find more about that and his interests, you know, the stories that catch his eye. He was recently at Area 51. No, I mean Las Vegas. I've seen the pictures. We've got Charlie Robinson with us. You can find that Facebook group at The Octopus of Global Control. And joining us during the break to, you know, give us some extra kind of thoughts and opinions for the final hour, we've got Jimmy Jeans. Jimmy, welcome back to KBS. I know you love Hassel tonight, right? Because Charlie here, when you first heard him on the show, you absolutely fell in love with the guy, didn't you, dude?
I did, you know, because he's so quick-witted, man, and he does have a hold on what's going on in this crazy world we have, and I enjoy him very much, and I enjoy being on with him. Hey, Mr. Robinson.
Thank you, guys. It's nice of you to say. Jimmy and I have been chatting over the last couple of weeks. We got all kinds of crazy stuff. Every time my phone rings and it's him, I'm laughing. I'm like, this is going to be great. I'm going to have to watch some new video he recommends. I'm going to get so anyway. Yeah, I'm digging it.
I've been trying to angle to get both you and Charlie on my show at the same time because it's late night and I know we could talk about stuff in a way that we just can't right here. So hopefully we'll make that happen soon.
You're like that digital uncle that comes to a wedding and everyone's like, oh, I wonder what he's going to do tonight. No, Jimmy, and for the audience out there, Jimmy is, I mean, he's like family. We're always in touch, you know, away from the show as well. And you know, from time to time, I like to wind Jimmy up. And I can only do that because I've got a lot of time and respect for the guy. But let's get back into this, right? And you can hear Jimmy's show coming up every weekend, and that's Friday and Saturday. I'll get details of that later on. But coming back to you, Charlie, you brought up a really hot topic during the break,
right,
and it's something that really we should be screaming from the rooftops. We should be getting the kind of bunting put up in the streets, having a parade, man, because Monsanto, they lost in court. What's that all about?
They must not have had Judge Clarence Thomas voting for them, voting in favor of them, because as he has every single time that Monsanto is going before the Supreme Court. If you didn't realize, he used to be a corporate attorney for Monsanto, so that's why things tend to go their way when it gets to the Supreme Court. But yeah, it was pretty surprising to me. I'm sure they'll tie it up, and you know, and all sorts of countersuits and things like that. But to award $289 million over the glyphosate lawsuit, I thought was fantastic, and you're able to watch it. There's a video of the judge reading it out. It takes about 20 minutes, and it's worth watching because you know the look on the guy's face when they say, you know, when they give the punitive damages is like, holy crap! I can't. You know, his attorney, of course, is probably just salivating, just like, oh my God. Is there anything better than buying a Ferrari with Monsanto's money? I mean, could you imagine that? So, it's great. So that's where we...
And like we were saying during the break, though, this is where kind of symptomatic of the times we live, I suppose. Even a victory like this, I can't get a weary eye over it, because I think to myself, hang on a minute, here's Monsanto. They've literally been bulletproof, and like you say, they've done that with that whole revolving door kind of thing that goes on in the corporate government world. How it goes with fascism, the merger of government and corporations, right? And they usually get away with everything. So my suspicious mind, and we kind of got into this over the break, what else could be going on here? Because, I don't know, it's almost as if something's wrong with this man, and we should be able to celebrate, but we have to question everything.
My first thought, and this is my little conspiratorial mind, went to the fact that because it was in the news, and it's not a good thing to be in the news for if you're Monsanto, of course, my thought was that it had to do with the Bayer-Monsanto merger, and that if you're Bayer and you're looking to buy Monsanto and you want to pay a lower price, you know, hey, this would be a good thing for you. It would tank the value of Monsanto to a point where Bayer can come in and pick it up for cheaper. I have no proof of that. It's just an assumption that I'm making. But when you see dirty things like this happening, when you see a company like Monsanto, like you said, that's been bulletproof and has been able to stay out of, for the most part, stay out of the media in terms of, you know, as evil as they've been over the decades, they really have done a pretty good job of staying out of the media. We know about them, but the vast majority of people have no idea who Monsanto is, never even heard of them, still to this day. So when I saw this, I thought, wow, okay, so that's like the lead story. Why is that allowed to happen? And my first thought was that it was allowed to happen because there's some benefit for somebody. And if you're a shareholder in Bayer and you're about to close that deal to buy Monsanto, you know, you buy it at a share price that starts dropping, you know. That was my thought. I don't know. I might be wrong, but stranger things have happened with that company.
I like that thinking. And like you say, we can't prove it. But I tell you what, all this show is for a reason. Jimmy will come to you. I used to bore the guys at work who would be out patrolling doing security, and one of the shops there was like a garden store, DIY. And every time we passed like the fertilizer, that pesky Roundup, if it was a new guy there, even guys I'd told before, that would get me started. That would be me on my high horse for 10 or 15 minutes, you know. But they're a very, very influential company. They've got that Roundup that they've been spraying everything with. You could talk about the bees dying off, you know, possibly we could attribute that to them. Even down to the fact that they have got an aluminium, or aluminum, as you guys say over there, resistant seed ready to go. And bearing in mind, what do they spray from the skies? Oh, plenty aluminium. They're a creepy company, Jimmy, ain't they? But what do you make of this whole kind of, the fact they've been done?
Well, it's interesting. You know, when I was a boy, my family and I went to Disneyland, and there was a whole Monsanto thing. It was like Future World, and you could walk through there, and they were telling you about all the great chemicals and different materials that they were making, so the future would be, you know, bright. So bright I have to wear my shades, which I'm doing. Because this chemical that's in Roundup is basically everything that we eat and consume, and some things even more than others. For example, you know, just a meal at a local fast food chain. You've got genetically modified organisms in the wheat, in the cheese, in the beef. Everything is saturated with this glyphosate. So, I mean, the thing about them getting found guilty in this particular instance is this cascades through so many different areas that I can't imagine them being around much longer if this verdict holds true and this actually gets paid out. I mean, I think they're probably going to fight this for a while.
I'm going to read off a list of some of the products that have been determined to be infected with glyphosate. This is just from the breakfast cereals, and I apologize in advance if this is America-centric. I'm not sure what they're called in Europe, but...
you know, actually, just before you...
They don't allow it.
Yeah, we've been pretty good. I can't complain that way, you know. I always kind of point the finger at the Nazi EU. That's something that's been pretty kind of staunch on getting
cornflakes, Raisin Bran, Special K, Oreos. Those bastards put it in Oreos. Ritz crackers, Triscuits, Goldfish, even the organic stuff, like the 365 organic golden round crackers, which is 365 is the Whole Foods generic version. So
think about that, Charlie. That means it's literally become part of the environment.
It's everywhere. It's in all the oatmeals. It's in all the granolas. It's in all the snack bars. It's in all the orange juice, Tropicana, Minute Maid. It's everywhere. It's the genie is out of the bottle and it cannot be put back in. And you know what's another thing about Monsanto that I gotta bring up? This is so genius at the same time. If you're a super villain, watch what Monsanto does because they're brilliant with things. So they're killing all the bees with their pesticides. So there are bee research firms that have been digging into this, making a lot of noise about this because it's obviously a problem. All the bees are dying. So Monsanto goes out and buys the bee research companies and then just shutters them. so the voice of opposition, they just have so much money that they say, what's it going to take to buy your little company? Well, my company's not for sale. Well, what about $10 million? My company's for sale for $10 million. Great, we just bought it. And then they shut it down.
For sale for $10 million. I'll put it in the soundbite now, just you wait and see. But no, it's they talk about cornering the market. They've made the market. Jimmy. He does this.
Yeah, I wanted
to do something, man. I thought you'd done
No, but I did want to say that one of the most powerful natural things that you can use to heal yourself is dandelions and dandelion root. And what I find so interesting is that no matter what, if you plant dandelions, say in a contaminated field, that will draw up all the poisons and whatnot that are in the soil, just like hemp will. But the thing is I find it so interesting that they've built their company basically on destroying the dandelion, but they haven't destroyed the dandelion because I can walk down any city street and see one, growing up through the cracks on the sidewalk. So all they seem to have done is destroyed the environment, given us cancer. But the dandelion lives on. And ladies and gentlemen, research the dandelion and the dandelion root. You can make some nice stuff for yourself at home to help heal yourself.
Good advice, man. There's always, something we can use these natural type plants around us for. And it's funny you bring up the dandelion. I seen a story at the weekend there about somebody who'd been tasered for picking dandelions or damaging them or something, and I thought that was a bit OTT. So I put hashtag dandelion lives matter, and you didn't really, there's the future effect in the past again. It didn't really make sense at the time, but now that Jimmy's telling us how important they are, see, it makes sense now, right? Quantum Kev. Like my quantum.
I know, wow.
Stuff, Charlie, see, there's that future effect in the past again. So when I say something random to you, just listens to next week's shows and it might make sense.
Are you in your time machine? Is that how you're doing all this?
I don't know how I do it, dude. I told Jimmy one night I think I'm channeling it from somewhere, but then again that'll be cut up into a soundbite. So I don't know what goes on, man, but it's weird how the show works these days. We talk about one thing and then you get the confirmation later. That makes me think that we talked about it in the first place because we knew it was going to happen. Deep, man.
That is very deep. I'm going to have to take a break and just ponder that thought for a second.
You see, that's what all this CERN research and things does to you. And, we're talking about Monsanto, a big company there. Let's go big science. CERN, you were saying you've got a good interest in that. I mean, that there, the science alone, before you get into all the kind of stuff that Anthony Patch covers on the back of that. I mean, trying to burst holes in the fabric of space and time to puncture into other dimensions. What on earth are they doing, man?
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong with bursting holes into space and time?
Never heard any good book, any good story, anything positive coming from the opening lines. I was once bursting holes in space and time.
No.
I used to burst holes. I used to burst holes in space and time with my old motorcycle. I know that. I used to sit on it and think, man, I'm propelling myself through time and space. It used to put a smile on my face every time.
Talking about space, just before we go back to CERN, I seen you had posted Buzz Aldrin. This kind of now infamous clip of him talking there about they hadn't been to the moon. What do you make of that one, man?
I think Buzz Aldrin is just really old, doesn't give a blank anymore, and I think he is on the verge of just letting it all out there. I mean, I have been fascinated with him for years and years. I Valley parked his car. I think I told you. I Valley parked his car like 20 years ago, and it was just hilarious to me. I was just so enthralled with what he was doing. I've watched the video of him punching out what's his face.
That is so epic.
Which was hilarious, and I've been, I think that if in fact he has been carrying a gigantic lie for all these years, I would imagine it would be liberating to just kind of let go of it at the end. I mean, he would be, of course, signing his own death certificate or his death warrant, but it would probably feel, like a great relief to him
There we go, come on, let's go and
He was down ball. He's still got the adventurer in him. And I don't know, I agree, maybe he's thought, you know what, to heck with it. Or maybe it's just, his old faculties are starting to go a bit. He doesn't know. He's not saying that he doesn't know what he's saying. He's just forgot that he's not meant to say it.
Right, exactly. But I think Buzz Aldrin has probably gotten to the point where he is tired of holding on to the secret. I love his interview where he went off on Phobos talking about the monolith there. I was like, what did you say? Like, I feel like someone was going to just pull him off that, I think he was on, C-SPAN or something like that, someplace talking about it. He felt like he was just going to get, the CIA was going to run and drag him off the set.
And that was the thing, he wasn't even talking about it. It was just so random, I would like to hear us talking more about it. You're thinking, hey, I don't care anymore if he landed on the moon or not. Tell us more about this monolith. Yeah, he's right. I mean, that's a bit of a game changer. So maybe a man-made structure on a moon or in Mars. Just saying.
Yeah, that might be something we would find interesting. Maybe put those in our science books. I don't know. Maybe Buzz can elaborate.
Never trust it. It's from NASA. But let's go back to Geneva and this CERN thing. Good or bad? I mean, you see some people are absolutely convinced this could bring an end to the world. Or there's other people, myself and Anthony cover the benefits that come from these particle accelerators and medicine as well. So do you think it's as crazy as it sometimes sounds, Charlie?
I don't have the scientific background to be able to say if it's good or bad, but what I can say is that ceremony that they had was straight up Orwellian. It was like a satanic. I'm not religious, so I don't naturally go towards this Satan thing as like an insult, but it had a really sort of satanic feel to it, very New World Order-ish, and I think it cost $11 million. Now, I know they got a lot of money to spend on CERN, but still, $11 million to have an opening ceremony that was as bizarre as that one seems really intriguing to me. Like, that really got my attention. That made me think that there was something there.
That creeped me out. You had the whole kind of Stargate, the whole portal thing at the start of it. And then when they got into that thing in the tunnel, when there was these big, giant, creepy babies. Babies should never look creepy. And they managed to creep out babies, and they were like, I don't know, maybe 12 to 15 foot big, were being carried about. It was, I tell you, if Stanley Kubrick had been doing, Eyes Wide Shut too, that's probably the scene he would have had for the party.
Yeah, Stanley Kubrick choreographed that from the grave, from beyond, for sure. I mean, if I spend $11 million on a ceremony like that, I want the babies to be cute. I don't want them to be creepy. I don't want them to give everybody nightmares. The look of the people that were, like, in the audience, they looked like they were horrified. Like, they didn't know, like, they were like, what is going on here? Whose idea was this? And it kind of reminds me of, like, those like the Olympic ceremonies or like the halftime events for the Super Bowl. There's all this weird stuff going on. I think it just has to do with, it's that deeper ceremonial ritual sort of aspect to it all.
Magic has to have ritual with it, doesn't it? And allegedly, I mean, I had a whistleblower from the palace telling me that throughout that opening ceremony, which of course was streamed live, Prince Philip and the Queen happily eating popcorn, catching flies. They were absolutely engrossed in it. So that's the kind of people, the kind of audience that were really into that kind of thing. But again, all joking aside, here's my boiled down concern. So much cool science when real science, absolutely, and for a geek, a science guy, a quantum guy, it's fascinating. It just sets the imagination on fire. Learned so much with our man Anthony Patch. I'm blessed to be able to have learned as much as I have. But at the same time, when the lights go out, and all the genuine scientists are there, because they're not all into the black arts. I'm sure some of them are there with the purest of intentions. But you know what I'm talking about. When the programs on public display are all rolled away, and we know what they're able to do by cracking open these holes and dimensions and things like that. We've seen Shiva sitting in the garden. No reason for Shiva to be there. That brings this whole spiritual aspect to it. We've seen the kind of parchments with all the ancient texts on it. I mean, what's that all about? Point being, really, really cool science. Like it for that. I don't think it's going to bring about an end to the planet. Not even, I don't think, up there with the Manhattan Project. But at the same time, and I'll bring you in, Jimmy, there has to be, and people have to embrace the fact that there's a very, very dark, sinister potential that lies within as well, right?
Yeah, and the thing about the CERN facility is that it's not just, it's an international project. Okay, so there's a lot of countries are involved, a lot of countries have invested money. And so you can see that there's a statue out in front, it's the Shiva or whatever. And a lot of people have made, bones about that also. Big bones about that. How do you make your bones? Well, the whole facility, big, giant, ritualistic dance numbers that cost $11 million.